It is a distinctly modern sensation to feel like your hours are constantly draining out. No matter how aggressively we schedule our days, there is a lingering visceral panic that we are perpetually behind, running a race against a clock that refuses to slow down. We share a universal grievance that life is simply too short. We complain that our span of years rushes by so swiftly that, with very few exceptions, the moment we finally feel ready to actually live, our time is already up. 2,000 years ago, the Roman philosopher Seneca looked at this exact complaint and called it a delusion. Nature, he argued, is actually quite generous. We aren't given a short life. We actively make it short. We actually have a sufficiently large amount of time to reach our highest achievements. The crisis happens because we scatter those precious hours away on heedless luxury, upon external obligations, and pointless distractions. Seneca categorized the worst offenders in this cycle as the preoccupied. These are people who navigate the world as if they are immortal, squandering their days as though drawing from an overflowing, infinite supply of time. They postpone their most sensible plans until their 50th or 60th years, assuming they are guaranteed to safely retirement. They reserve only the tired, leftover remnants of their lives for their own ambitions. Meanwhile, they let everyone else encroach on their current hours. They eagerly hand over their present moments to a boss, a demanding client, or the endless pursuit of social status, leaving almost nothing for their own minds. To see exactly where those missing years go, Seneca suggests a ruthless accounting exercise. We need to conduct a literal audit of our lives to track the exact destinations of our stolen time. When you reckon up the days lost to groundless sorrow, foolish joy, and the seductions of society, the math is undeniable. Treating time as a cheap, limitless commodity guarantees it will pass away before you even notice it slipping by. If there is the slightest dispute over the boundary line of a physical estate, people will rush to arms. We fiercely protect our bank accounts and aggressively guard our physical assets from anyone trying to take a cut. This ledger shows our bizarre double standard. Our material wealth is heavily guarded, while our time balance is unprotected. We let acquaintances and corporate demands siphon away our days. Tallying these microtransactions, the balance plummets to zero. We end up overdrawn, dying prematurely. People are incredibly stingy with personal property, yet lavishly generous with the only resource in the universe that can never be earned back. Seneca divides existence into the solid past, the moving present, and the unformed future. The preoccupied abandon today, placing expectations on a tomorrow at the mercy of chance. Distracted by obligations, they miss the present entirely and are terrified to look back at the past. By living completely in the expectancy of tomorrow, people effectively delete their present and manufacture a history they never want to look at again. You might assume the solution is just clocking out and relaxing. They obsessed over the exact arrangement of their hair or spent hours micromanaging the silver and the slaves at their banquets, all to cultivate a public reputation for elegance. We replicate this exact behavior when we optimize our hobbies for social media, curate our leisure time for an audience, or anxiously consume content just to keep up with the cultural conversation. Seneca coined a specific term for this: indolent occupation. Doing nothing or doing trivial things with anxious precision is not rest. It is merely another form of exhaustion. If your mind requires external validation to feel at peace, your time off is just as heavily taxed as your time at work. Seneca's actual definition of true leisure requires completely extracting yourself from the crowd. It is the intentional cultivation of the mind, anchoring yourself in the deep tranquility of philosophy while the chaos of the world spins around you. He argued that those who make time for these studies do something incredible. They annex every past age to their own. By studying the great thinkers, you effectively extend your own physical lifespan. Look at how this timeline operates. When you engage with history, you aren't restricted to your own brief decades. You absorb all those centuries of human wisdom, adding limitless and eternal years directly to your personal ledger. We cannot choose the parents we were allotted by chance, but we have total authority to choose whose children we would like to be intellectually. We can inherit an unshakable wealth that no boss or social obligation can ever tax. Looking back at the time audit reveals a glaring contradiction in human behavior. We act like immortals in everything we desire, completely unconcerned with how fast the months and years fly by, yet we act like fragile mortals in everything we fear. The mandate is to stop waiting for a future that owes you nothing. You must organize every single day as though it were your last, stripping away the need for an audience and cutting off the drains on your attention. A long life isn't measured by white hair or wrinkles. That just proves you existed for a long time. Life is abundantly long enough for the highest achievements, but only when you finally decide to invest it entirely in yourself.